Hi everyone, welcome to Friday, March 29th, Featured Femme. I have decided to be my own Featured Femme. One, because in reality I probably should have been the first one, but life was kind of crazy and I wanted to get this going. And I also think I needed the time to come up with what I wanted to be talking about and the message that I wanted to share. So I will be doing this probably every quarter or so, or if I can't book someone, I'll be doing a feature them and going from there. So first, I'd like to say that I do have some spots available over the next few months. If you would like to be a featured femme, please just DM me, and I would be happy to host you. Today's featured femme, hey Karena, sorry, hey Michelle, I'm reading your comments. Hey Michelle, yeah, no problem. I'm glad to have you here. So today's featured femme, I'm going to be discussing how you definitely do not have to love yourself first in order to be in a loving, committed relationship, and how that love from someone else can help transform your life so much. So I'm going to start off by saying this is my experience, and I am going to admit to everyone I'm a little bit anxious. This is not something that I've ever spoken about publicly. A lot of my friends have probably no idea, maybe some idea, hey Tamara, but not to the extent that it was happening. And the reason why I'm deciding to share this story as part of my bullshit on self-love is because this story really helped shape who I was and the way that I thought about myself and the way that I allowed life to kind of happen to me instead of taking those reins and taking life on for myself. For me, love is something that is, we are born with it, but I definitely think that it's something that we're also taught. We're taught how to love other people, and we're taught how to accept love for ourselves. And that's really an important note in my story. How I know that love does not have to come from this internal source first is before we even know consciously what love is, our parents and more so our mother loves us. Hopefully people have that experience. Where when you're in utero, you're feeling that loving emotion from your mother. You're feeling her heartbeat, you're hearing it, that swooshing sound while you're in utero is where love begins. So we in utero are sitting there probably all like, I love myself, I can't wait to join this world. We're getting all these neurons firing for us, and we're really concentrating on just that end goal of being a person. It's our mother's love that helps us grow and flourish in utero. And then once we're born, we have all these experiences. And we're taught how to love. We either are born into this loving family, as I hope everyone was, but even within that loving family, we're taught how to accept and how to give love. Our parents teach us what's right and wrong. Our parents teach us through their interaction, or the people around us through their interactions, what love is. And then from there, we establish our own kind of set of rules on what love should be for ourselves. So for me, this journey kind of started, I guess, a little bit with my parents' divorce. I never wanted to be that person. I never wanted to be someone who was in a failed marriage or a failed love. By the time I had met this person, my mom was on her second marriage. And hey, Jen. And as well, around the time that things kind of started getting a little bit rocky for me in this first relationship for myself, is when my mom's marriage started to go through as well. Writing, okay, no problem. So I'm just going to get right into the story, and then I'm going to incorporate how my new partner, Matt, how his love really helped free me from these constraints that I made for myself. So the relationship, my very first relationship, started when I was 15. It was a few months before my 16th birthday. I was technically in a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship with someone else, but that was only really for about 2 or 3 weeks. The same day that I started going out with this first person, I met my abusive. That's how I'll refer to it as. I was in law class. He sat beside me, and I literally had no clue who he was really. The day that he reached out to me, I had just won a debate, and sorry, I have a dog hair on my nose already. And when I got back to my seat, what was on my binder was, I like your bum, give me a call. For someone like myself who's struggled with an eating disorder since I was 7 years old, someone kind of giving me that validation that my body looked good to them, really kind of struck a chord with me. It was like, wow, this person notices how nice my body is. Screw everything else. From there, we started hanging out, and within kind of those 2-3 weeks, one night we weren't intimate, we made out or something like that, and I went to school the next day, and I told the person that I was in a relationship with, I cheated on you last night, we're going to have to break up. Right then and there, kind of started this rhetoric for me. This, wow, you're such a slut. You couldn't even contain your emotions and your urges for one night to come and speak to me first and say that you're interested in someone else. I was 16, or at that point I was 16. So no, I couldn't, because I didn't know. I didn't know that that was appropriate. I didn't know that that was going to happen. But it definitely kind of labeled me. And that was the first time that I really felt that, well, that's who I am. I'm a cheater, and I'm a slut, and I'm someone who can't control my urges. So I might as well be with this person that made me unhappy. Throughout our relationship, it was very rocky. This is the first person I really did anything with, intimately. He was my very first partner, the person that I lost my virginity to. And even that story in itself, we were at my dad's house, and we were watching the movie Transpotting. You know that movie? It's not a movie that anyone should be losing their virginity to. And I remember looking over at the screen while it was happening, and it was the part where the guy is having a drug-induced psychosis, and the baby had died and was crawling up on the ceiling and had turned around. And in that moment, I said to myself, "What am I doing here? Why am I letting this happen? This isn't how I envisioned losing my virginity." But again, that rhetoric of, well, you're a slut. this is what happens when you are free with your body. Things happen, and you can either enjoy it and go with it, or you can stop it. For me, if I stopped it, that meant that that person's love was no longer. I really felt that this person wanted this from me. And what a gift to give them. The day after, I went to school, and I was talking with one of my really good friends, her boyfriend was on the football team, just like my boyfriend. And she told her boyfriend, hey, so-and-so and Karena had sex last night. Isn't that cool? Like, we have a couple that we can hang out with now. Like, they're official. Her boyfriend told my boyfriend, and he broke up with her immediately. He said, how dare you tell people that that's what we did last night? You had no right. You've invaded my personal space. You've invaded my life. You've now labeled me with you, and that's not something that I want. So we're done. Talk about crushed, and talk about another blow to my self-worth. I had just given myself freedom to someone who I thought really cared for me, only to find out that this was something in his eyes that was just a good time, right? Like, we didn't have butt buddies back then, but in all terms, that's what he saw me as, someone just to have a good time with and be butt buddies with. And that is not what I wanted and what I thought of that relationship at all. So that again put a really big hit on who I was and how I labeled myself. I see myself as, well, I'm not a virgin anymore, so I'm going to do what I want. Our relationship in person lasted 4 years of on and off. Through that time, we would break up, date other people, cheat on those people, and get back together. When we would get back together, it was like this magnet, right? This heat, this, we did really have really great times together. A lot of people that knew us said that we got along like an old married couple. We just worked well. We knew what each other was thinking. But behind those closed doors, what people didn't see when we were getting back together was this cycle of, I promise I won't cheat on you again. I promise I won't talk to you the way that I spoke to you before. And I realize now how valuable you are in my life, that you make me a better person. So now I want you back in my life. So again, this story of love, that like my love could uplift others. And through my love, I was doing a really great and noble thing for this person. And that I kind of deserved whatever came to me, because that's who he was. There were times when things got physical. When he would get angry, he would grab me he struck my neck and kind of drag me along. A lot of the kind of physical abuse that happened in the car as well. We argued in the car, and he would wait until I took my seatbelt off to get off out of the car, and he would slam on the brakes so that I would go forward into the dashboard. That would cause a fight. Maybe like, why would you do that? Why would, at one point he almost broke my nose because I was leaning down to get my book bag, and he just said, well, that's your fault. You knew I had to stop the car. Why did you take your seatbelt off? If it ended up that you broke your nose, stop moving too. This might be a little bit triggering for people. So I think the worst part of his abuse was the emotional and sexual abuse that I was dealing with on definitely a weekly and at times daily basis. he very much liked to tell me that no one else would want me because he ruined me. And so I basically had no choice but to stay with him because no one else would love me and appreciate me the way that he does because no one understood me the way that he did. He would undress me, and while we were being intimate, no problem, Michelle. When we were being intimate, he would critique my body. He would tell me, if you only lost some weight here in your hips, I would cheat on you. If you didn't wear as much makeup, you wouldn't look like such a whore, and maybe I'd want to sleep with you. That kind of stuff. Really keeping me small so that I can see my potential and where I wanted to grow. The talk of being a slut really stuck with him. He knew that was something that really bothered me, and so would use that to manipulate me into situations. This is not something I'm proud of, but it definitely happened in my life where he would use that talk to get me to sleep with his friends. And during that, he would take photos and use that against me, saying, if you leave me, or if you tell people what happened, I have the photo proof that you were actually a part of this, that no one else was making me do this but you. And in a sense, that absolutely is true. I could have told someone, I could have walked away, but that wasn't my reality at that time. And I did feel very connected, and I really wanted this to work. So I was willing to do whatever he wanted, so that A, my friends didn't find out what was kind of going on behind closed doors, but also B, so that I could keep this person that I loved and that I thought I needed in my life. During our 4 years, my mom got divorced from her second husband, and he also, in the same sense as he was my abuser, he was my savior. My mom began to drink very heavily during that time, that kind of 2 years between, or 3 years between the time I was like 16, 17, to the time I was 19, drinking very heavily. She herself would become not the mother that she wanted to be during that time. And I would be asked to leave immediately. If I came home from work late, anything. So I would call this person, they would come pick me up and literally save me from that situation. So there was this really strange mixture of these two people who I really loved kind of swaying back and forth and teaching me that this is the type of love that I'm going to accept for the rest of my life, and that should be carried on. My self-worth was definitely tied up with that thought of, well, I am a slut, I am this, so I'm going to use my body how I want to use my body because it doesn't matter to other people. It doesn't matter to the partners that I'm with. It doesn't matter to my mother at the time. And so I'm just going to do it. There were other things that he did as well. For instance, when he would break up, he would call me at work or at home while he was being intimate with another woman and just say, hey, listen to this. And then she would put on an act. Of course, I hung up. He would call me back later, and we would get in this huge explosive fight. And I just want people to know that if they're listening to this, like, that's not normal. You definitely don't have to accept that in your life. And you are worth more than what this person has been telling you. When I was 19, him and I were deciding to get back together. I was out of school. He he was in college, he was in the army, and we decided that, okay, this life is good. We're starting to kind of grow up. I think we've gotten past what we need to get past, and let's do this. Probably about a week after that, my mom had come to me and said, "Hey, I seen so and so at a gas station. The back of their truck was full of all their possessions. When I asked them where they were going, they said, I'm putting my stuff in storage. I would appreciate if you don't tell Karena, because I'm moving to Alberta." My mother respected those wishes of that person and told me 2 days later when she knew he would be there. And that really made me feel betrayed. And it made me feel abandoned. And it made me feel that if this person, both people, who at that time were kind of taking the lead on my self-worth and what I was allowing in my life, that they had conspired together in order for him to leave me. This turned out to be the best gift that both of them could have given me. But at that time, it really made me feel worthless. It really made me feel like this person that I wanted to be my partner couldn't even speak to me that they had dreams to go off and actually be in the army and really contribute to society the way that they knew. But what did that mean about me? How was I loving this person? Why couldn't they come to me and tell me this? Later, he did divulge that if he would have told me, he would have left, because he just wouldn't be able to see that kind of sadness. This relationship, when he moved to Alberta, it was no longer intimate, but there was still a lot of emotional and verbal abuse that happened over the phone or even over social media. Like, even me posting a photo of myself that I felt really good about, he would comment and just knock me down. Like, wow, put on more makeup, maybe more people would like you, like that, just that kind of stuff. Over the phone, he would say, "Hey, I seen that picture of you last week. You gained a lot of weight. I thought you wanted to have a partner and get married. You're not going to find someone like that." This person, I allowed this person to ruin a lot of the relationships that I was in. But I also allowed this person to teach me how I deserve to be loved. So some of the relationships that I eventually got into were no better than the one that I was in with him. It wasn't until I started going to the eating disorder clinic in Niagara, and I had my first initial meeting with them, and they asked me if I ever had suffered abuse by a partner before. And I said, yeah, I guess. And they said, okay, well, what kind? And at that time, I hadn't ever thought of myself really truly as like an abuse survivor. And when I started to tell them, they started to kind of list, oh, okay, so you have sexual, you have emotional, you have verbal, and you have physical abuse. Wow, do you still speak to this person? And I said, yeah, I do. Actually, I talk to them fairly often, at least every 3 months for a good 2 hours at a time. And they said to me, why? Why are you still talking to this person? What does that person hold in you? And I don't know. So I went home and I thought about it for a really long time, and I decided that this person no longer deserved to have my presence and my upliftingness to them. They weren't allowed to call me anymore, to unload all their problems, to get my feedback of them, boosting them up and telling them how much of a great father they are. And, they weren't allowed to tell me anymore how they made a big mistake on leaving me Yet when it actually came to being with me, that wasn't an option. And that once they had gotten through all that they needed to say, then began the put down of me. So I blocked this person from my phone, from social media, all that kind of stuff. I decided then and there that I was setting a boundary for myself. That if someone didn't make an active effort to be in my life, then I would not be making an active effort to be in my life. With a month later, that was a year. A year later, I was out of a relationship. I was single for about a year. And I met Matt. This is kind of emotional. Matt came into my life during a time when I had just had surgery on my throat to have my tonsils removed. So I was off for 2 weeks, and we decided to go on a date. He canceled, and but he called me to do it. And the next day, he called me back and said, "Look, I'm really sorry about last night. I did just happen to get really sick last minute. I would like to take you out again. I'm at my mom's for a Christmas dinner on the 20th. If you would like to meet for coffee afterwards, I would really appreciate it." So since this man was so nice, so honest, I decided, okay, I'll take that chance. We met at a Starbucks in St. Catharines, and we talked for 3 hours. And I knew this person already kind of cared for me because when we were talking about meeting at this place, he had asked, "Can I grab you a drink if I get there first?" Pretty standard. I said, "No, I don't really know what I want, so it's okay, I'll just order what I want." He goes, "Don't worry, I'm going to order you everything from the menu." So I knew right then and there that this is someone that was actually looking for a committed relationship and looking to be someone's partner. During the first 6 months of our relationship, most people wouldn't have stuck around. Within that first 6 months, I went back to work after my surgery, and my depression got really bad, really, really bad. To the point where my mom was re-diagnosed with cancer, and I really didn't know. Like, I was at such a low point in my life that I thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't live this life of constantly giving to others. And it was him, when I was talking to him, I said, I can't do this. I can't take care of my mom again while she's sick and go to work and try and build a life with you. Something has to give. And he said, why not work? Why can't work be what you do? And that was never an option for me before. Even taking those 2 weeks off for my surgery made me feel very guilty that I was leaving my team behind. I had been calling in sick a lot because of sickness and stuff from it, but it made me feel like I was going to be leaving my team behind. When he suggested that, I went, okay, but that's still going to mean like a change for our relationship. I'm not going to be able to live an hour apart. I'm not going to be able to travel up there as much because I'm not going to have as much money. You're going to have to come see me. And I'm going to need to kind of be stepping into that role a little bit for my mom. And he said, that's fine. It'll work out. Like, if the friends work out, it'll work out. My mom getting sick again, it did. It consumed a lot of my time. Okay. Kind of fast forward, we decided within that 6 months to move in together. Kind of a crazy aspiration, we thought, but both of our leases were coming due. And we knew that we really enjoyed our time together, and it was just easier for us to move in together and save a little bit of money and do it. During this time, Matt and I fought a lot. We didn't fight because of what the other person necessarily were doing. We were fighting to have a voice and to be heard in a relationship. We were two hurt people trying to actively love another person while not loving ourselves. And it was each other's strength and love for the other person that really pushed us through. So by no means was our argument, like we never name called, we never put the other person down. It was really just us yelling at each other to be like, but you're not hearing my experience. You're not hearing how this is affecting you. So again, fast forward that year, when my mom got sick and I had to kind of spend my time in St. Catharines as I would come into Hamilton one night a week. This really taught me how much he loved me. It really made me realize at this time that someone could see past my own bullshit and love me through it. And at the end of the day, still say, you're worthy of my love. Regardless if you are upset because your mom is sick and your tension is high and your anxiety is high. And so sometimes when you come home, I didn't want to spend time. I didn't want to have that connection. I just wanted to be alone. This person said, I understand that, and I'm okay with that, and I know that this is a phase, and so a much needed phase. So I'm going to give you that, and I'm going to let you know that when you need it, I'm here for that love. That's not something I ever had before. I never had someone just hold space for me the way that I needed to be. It needed to be helped. I never had someone just sit there and listen as I cry and talk about my experience with my mother and even this person during that time, my abuser during this time, and listen and know that I wasn't talking about an experience with him and I wasn't angry at him. I just needed to offload. I needed to be heard. I needed to process and read this life that I wasn't ever going to get with my mother, the one that I really wanted. When my mother passed, for me, that was the time, the exact time that I knew that although I had loved Matt for that whole year or so, that this was the person I wanted to be with. This is the person that I was going to give myself over to. He really, it felt as if he reached into my chest and pulled out my heart and said, I'm going to keep this safe for you until you're ready to kind of hold that weight again. Over the next couple months, I said to him, I'm not going back to work. I want to get ready to me. There was a few times when I had tried to do other jobs after leaving this other place, and I would break down in tears, but then he would just told me that it's okay, we're going to make it through. And he gave me that permission. He really said to me, you feel that you can't go back to work right now, and you just kind of need to figure your life out, that's fine. And it was because of that permission he gave me kind of 2 years or a year ago, and you're previous to that, of just allowing myself to breathe, allowing myself to have that space. So with doing that, that is when I can honestly say I then started giving myself permission to love myself and honor my needs the way that he was honoring my needs and loving myself. And it really, because of that, it really allowed me to start seeing my worth and my potential. I did eventually take my heart back from him. And it was actually a conversation where I said, I think I'm ready to feel this. I'm ready to feel the weight of this, and I'm ready to take it on. And I need you to be patient with me, because I'm probably not going to be the nicest person to you over the next few months. And by no means am I going to be malicious or malice, but the smallest things that you may do may very much kind of disrupt me, because I'm learning to process and I'm learning to adjust to my new way of being, of living in my emotions, of actually feeling them and not pushing them down and realizing my worth. So I'm going to have to be vocal about this. I'm going to, and in that I did say I'm going to try my best to do it in a soft way, but there may be times that it doesn't come out soft. He was accepting of it. And I do want to say that at the same time he was learning himself how to work through his emotions and be in his body. And I have had his permission to talk about this today. So I don't want you to feel that I'm just speaking about it without him knowing. He does know, and he knows that this is an important part of actually in talking about my self-worth for himself. Part of my relationship with my abuser is when I stopped really connecting with spirit. When I was young, I spoke with spirits all the time. I did dream interpretation for my friends. I would do the psychic classes and all this stuff. And it was in this relationship with this abuser that he said, that's hokey, that's not real, like, you need to stop. You won't let it go. So I did. In finding myself after my mother's death, I brought this up to Matt that I really want to start exploring the spiritual side of me again. It started with a few witch books, and he jokingly would say, "Are you a witch?" And I'd be like, "No, I don't know, I don't think so." And the more I read, the more I dived into my practice of Reiki, the more I dived into Reiki and my rituals, the more I realized I am a witch, and that's okay. And when I came out to him as a witch, we had this huge discussion around what that meant. And it was a discussion I needed to have to, validate myself, but also feel valid within our relationship and safe within our relationship. So we did talk about, if we had children, what would this mean for our children? How would we raise them? What would be okay? What wouldn't be okay? What would he feel comfortable with? What would I not feel comfortable with? And by doing this, by expressing my authentic self to him, I really started to come into my own and realize that this person that I am is a great person. I'm not doing just for the sake of doing. I'm bringing my partner in and allowing that to flourish, allowing them to see my joy and my passion and how I'm choosing to be myself and my self-worth, and being vulnerable and opening myself up. And thankfully, I was reciprocated with, I'm okay with that. If this makes you happy, then I'm okay with that. And I know that you are a good enough person that you aren't going to be, there's a psychic drawing that took a minute for all of you. You aren't going to be that person. You're going to guide people with love and compassion because I see the way that you live with love and compassion. And it was him that actually started to say to me, I wish you could see what I see. I wish that you could know how much I love you. There are days, even today, that I ask him, do you love me today? Because I need that validation. And slowly it's getting to the point where I can validate that for myself. I don't need an external source in order to do that. I can definitely do that for myself and say, I love you, and I'm making this decision because I know I'm a great person and I'm doing it for the greater good of not just myself but others, and going forward. He's really the one that I kind of needed permission from, not in the sense that I needed permission from my partner in order to do these things, but I myself, for my self-worth, needed permission to go to classes with Lana and do the art of feminine presence, to do a really blessing, to really start connecting with other women so that I could see how this could work for myself, how accepting who I am and by not constantly giving myself to others, that I was able to receive because I am someone worthy of love. So that's how that story kind of came about. And I'd say now I have a really good foundation of self-love. But that self-love was built on a foundation of permission to be loved and receiving that love from someone else. So now I'm going to kind of talk about this bullshit that is love yourself first before you get in a committed relationship. I see, especially when I was younger, a lot of my friends, some of my girlfriends now, and some of my male friends now, saying, no one wants me, no one wants to be with me, I'm never going to find someone, I'm never going to be good enough. And what I really have to say to that is, you don't have to love yourself. You don't have to think that you're worthy of love. I wish that you would, and I really hope that you find that within yourself. But what it takes to find a committed relationship and to find, if that's what you want, that camaraderie with someone else, is a basic understanding that in order to receive love, you must be willing to give love and open yourself vulnerably up to the potential of being hurt and being destroyed, cut down, because in my experience, love heals. And it's when we lose that love, right? It's when that relationship starts going sour. But that's what brings up all that stuff for us, right? But love heals. Love gives us permission. Love allows us to live our life knowing that we're going in a direction that's good for us. And what an awesome added bonus if someone else can join in that with us. So something I also said within my post was that love needs to have conditions. Something that I've learned in my relationship and has therefore kind of transpired into my work is that love needs to have boundaries. Whether or not it's a romantic love, a friendship love, or a love for your job, it needs to have boundaries in order to flourish. So if someone is struggling with loving themselves. My suggestion would be to set those boundaries for yourself. Those hard no's and those awesome yeses. In love, before I met Matt, I said to myself, I'm no longer going to be chasing someone in love. If they want to be in my life, they're going to be in my life. And if they don't, that's fine. I'm going to send them with love, and that's that. I established boundaries with my mother because in that relationship, I was taught to give because a mother gives. But that's kind of a mother's responsibility in order to put those boundaries when her child is old enough to start, not giving as much and allowing that child to flourish. So I put boundaries on my relationship with my mother. I will be here for you, but I need you to understand that there's going to be times that I have to say no because it doesn't feel right for me. I need to sleep. I need to recharge. I need to spend time with my friends, my family, with other family members. In the relationship with Matt, I put on boundaries with regards to, in a relationship, I need, quality time at least once a week where we are not interrupted by video games, family, friends. It's just us. He put boundaries on with regards to, being more lenient with how he's learning to life. So I might have been on this journey for a very long time, and anyone who's been on this journey knows that once you kind of get going, you start clicking and you start moving really quickly. Where this was very new for him. So he needed that kind of space in order to say things that might be inappropriate, and the space in order to receive that feedback, process it, and come up with his own solution to that issue. He also needed that boundary for himself of, are you just talking, or do you need me to solve this issue for you, or do you need to talk about this issue? So that was something that he asked me to put as a boundary. Through these boundaries, established our love pattern, right? And, he knows that there are certain hard no's in a relationship, just like I know there's certain hard no's. And this, again, transpires into your work. You should have boundaries. You shouldn't be accessible to your clients 24/7. Something that I was before. If someone who was my client and emailed me at 3 a.m. and I happened to look at that email because I was up, not sleeping, I would respond back, and sometimes it ended up into an energy exchange all on its own, and that was draining and depleting. So by learning those boundaries in my love, it allowed me to set those boundaries in my business as well. And it also allowed me to have a business that I lived passionately about. I often say that my business is my face and it's my life. If I didn't do this if I didn't do this for others and have clients, I would still be doing this in my life. It's very much is who I am. I just decided to make my passion my business. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm slowly learning to love myself. I'm slowly learning to love the woman that I am becoming and stepping into. And something that helps me. So March I thought was going to be a breezy month. January, February were pretty hectic with me, and I thought March was going to be a time that I really got to. It wasn't. I've been sick and I've been kind of dealing with a lot of anxiety myself. So something that helped me along my journey, and I'm going to pass on because I think that it really corresponds with our talk, is that sometimes when it's hard to love myself, when it's hard to quiet those negative voices in my head, I turn to that external love. Not vocally, but I say to myself in my head, at the end of the day, if Matt is the only person who loves me, if my sister is the only person who loves me, if my dad is the only person who loves me, that's okay. And by allowing that external love to surround me, I then can bring it into myself. At the end of the day, I'm okay with what happened, the decisions I made, and how I handled them. And that's okay. This anxiety of not being good enough, that's a lot of where my anxiety flows, is not being good enough, not living up to expectations of others. That doesn't matter. Because the people who I truly love and I allow into my circle, I know are going to love and support me. And by holding this love in my heart, it then translates into, at the end of the day, if those people are gone, for whatever reason, they've left me, they've left this earth, I'm going to be okay. Because even through all that negative self-talk, that abusive relationship, a relationship with an alcoholic mother, failed business attempts, failed work attempts, having to take time off work, I survived it. I woke myself up the next day, and I went on with my day. And maybe did it battered and bruised for a little bit, but I did it. There was this store of strength, which I really feel is love, that resided in my body. And said, you can do this. So I'm going to leave you with this. At the end of the day, if all you have is love from an external source, and it doesn't have to be a person, it can be a pet. If all you have is that love from an external source, and that keeps you going, awesome. Use that love to start feeling your love within yourself. And that's how you'll find that self-love. But don't feel like you need to constantly feel this overpowering love for yourself, because you're just not going to. Every day is not going to be a good day for you. And there are going to be days when you need to feel that connection and that love through an external source. That's who we are. We're human. So set those boundaries for yourself and allow that to be your guide in learning to love others and eventually learning to love yourself. So that's my Friday featured film. I'll open it up if anyone has any questions or anything. Thank you, Rana. I really appreciate that. Those good and kind words. It means a lot. So if anyone else wants to kind of maybe share a little bit, or if not, that's fine. Oh, I was going to pull cards. Does anyone want? I got caught up in my own stuff. I forgot. So let's pull some cards for people. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that so much. So I'm going to pull from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. If someone wants a reading, let me know. Thank you, Roxanne, for joining me and allowing me to share this message. Yes, Roxanne yesterday, I had to do my taxes yesterday. And I was from 8 till 10 was a nervous wreck. And I hadn't checked my phone, and at 9:30, Roxanne actually messaged me. Okay, I would pull apart for Dahlia, and I'll pull apart for you, Jen, for sure. And she just sent me this beautiful message from my mother, and it literally started off, I don't know if you're in a dark place right now, or if you have a lot of anxiety, but your mother is telling me I need to read for you for this. And I was like, holy goodness. And just her reading was just like, I didn't read it until after my taxes because I knew it was going to be emotional, but it was great. So Dahlia, I will read for you, but this is not the tarot read, so I'm still going to do that for you. So Dahlia, oh, Freya, yeah. So for you, I have protection, and it says, call your power back, cut the cord, soul retrieval. So for me, knowing your situation and how you're just waiting for this baby to come any day now, I just see as a lot of protection around you right now, and a lot of protection around that little girl that's in you. And when she's ready, she's gonna come, and she's gonna come in like a force. So I think that this is a really good sign that hopefully you'll be going into labor soon, because the angels are there to support you along that journey. Now that's how I see it. I don't know if you maybe see it a little bit different. Maybe that card resides with you in a different way because you know exactly what's going on today. Sure, I'll pull a card for you to Roxanne. So Jen, let's go here. Let's see what the oracle is saying for you and working your light. So, Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helper in the Subtle Realm. So, doing the work that you're doing right now while you're listening to this, I would say that you have a lot of people guiding you right now. You're hearing a lot of external sources that are on this earthly plane that are really driving you to do this work and really set this new kind of foundation for yourself in motion. Your work is divinely guided. Here you have who is kind of like a Mother Mary symbol, and then around her she has all these other beautiful angels. As well, if you notice, there is 7 lights directly in the middle of the card. This tells me that your life is fully aligned, and that what you want to do is going to come to fruition. So there's your card, love. And we will get to Roxanne, and then Amy, I will do your card. I see you. Okay, 2 cards came out for you, and somehow I knew that was going to happen. Okay, so for you, you got Keepers of the Earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. I think that is so true for you. So when I see this card, I always picture this person being the person that the card reading is for. And then behind them, they have all these spirit animal totems. And then as well, an indigenous woman who has angel wings. So what this card tells me is keep doing the work that you're doing. You are someone who empowers so many people through the words and the insights that you give them. And you are supported throughout your life, throughout this work with those animal totems. There is, sorry, I can't see it, elephant, mountain lion, wolf, eagle, and then tons and tons of animals. For me, this part always comes up when someone has a connection to divine psychic energy. And then the other card I have is the crumbling. What are you clinging on to? So for me, this kind of, I know we talked about your business, and I feel like this part is directly for your business, in the sense that I think it's time for you to go mainstream. I think it's time for you. I know you have a lot of clients and stuff, but I think it's time for you to put yourself out there fully and really step into the person that you are, and know that these gifts are given to you in such a light way and so much love that it's really time to stretch those wings and really show people what you're made of. Because you're amazing girl, and that's what I feel when I see that. The crumbling of not being accepted into society, or maybe people that you might know. Don't worry about it; it's gonna happen. So, let's go. Amy went to Cleveland this week, and Kelly, because she had such an amazing time. And who knew Cleveland was so cool? So last time I went there was like a grade 9 trip, a grade 10 trip, and we went to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I fell in love with the Beatles for the first time ever. I had heard their music before, but to see their stuff. You're so bang on. That's a beautiful deck. Thanks, Roxanne. You're absolutely welcome, Roxanne. I love doing this for people. It makes me feel good to give messages from spirit. Okay. And Amy. Oh, again, you got the Council of Light as well. So I see your life aligning to your dreams, to your aspirations. You hear a lot of calling from an outside source that isn't on this earthly plane, to move forward into a direction that you might not have thought was a direction your life would have been before. But it's definitely telling you that if you want this, you can definitely have it. The bottom of the card again says divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. So listen to those voices, listen to that kind of calling, and see where it takes you, because you have many angels and many, even people on this earth that are kind of guiding you into that direction you want to go, stepping into it. So that is all, my dears. No one else, I don't think, let me check. Just put it down. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So that is all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, like I said, if you would like to be a featured femme, please reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about your business, your journey. This is kind of transforming on its own, and I'm loving the direction that it's going. I'm loving hearing all these women's stories of just how empowering they are, and how when they found this power, it really pushed them into the business that they're in. And I never knew that. I love it. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Lily. I never knew that it could be what it's becoming, and I'm loving connecting with people on so many levels. So if you would like to be a featured femme, reach out. If I reached out to you and you said, "Oh, talk to me at this time," that's fine. If and when it becomes something that you want to do, reach out. Just because you shut that door doesn't mean that this one can't be open. So have an amazing Friday, everyone. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the sun, because it's absolutely gorgeous. So